Joined by invasive species biologist Jessica Spencer to tell us all about National Invasive Species Awareness Week. Ooh, hello, thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is National Invasive Species Awareness Week?
So it's a nationwide initiative, and it's basically a week where we try to educate people on invasive species and the harmful impacts that they can have to the economy, the environment, or to human health.
Okay, so what are some of the invasive species in our area?
So I brought some of the species with me today.
Okay.
Over here we have our kalanchoe, or mother of millions.
Yeah, I've got one of those in my yard.
Yeah, it produces a bunch of those little plantlets, and they fall, and then you've got them all over the place before you know it. Yep. We also have the asparagus fern, which is one of those species that you see in all the planted baskets that they sell at Home Depot and Lowe's.
That's not good.
And yeah, it's an easy filler plant, but it is spreading into our dune system, so it's having some impacts on our beaches as well as the mother of millions. And then we have our coral ardesia, which was another horticulture plant. You know, all of these plants, they look so pretty, which is why people want to put them in their yards, but they do get into our natural areas. They form these dense monocultures that crowd out the native vegetation. It takes over the habitat. The native wildlife don't really prefer these plants, so it just has sort of cascading impacts.
So it's interesting. That's frustrating because there are so many plants that are native to the area or that wouldn't be considered invasive that we could be planting in our yards and to make them very, very beautiful. We don't have to grab these, right?
Right. So there are a lot of native options. You know, there are more and more native plant nurseries that are more focused on our native vegetation. So there have been more of those popping up around Jacksonville. So I definitely recommend, especially after all the freezes we've had, all people's, plants are dying back. So if you're looking to replace stuff, seek out those native options. You know, that's a really great way to support native wildlife as well, and the birds and animals that you want to see in your yard.
Absolutely. So. Okay, so I'd be remiss if we didn't ask about this. So, because a lot of folks are talking about the Nile monitors. So can you tell us a little bit about those? This seems wild. They're huge.
Yeah, so Florida is known for having the most invasive reptiles of anywhere on the planet. Yeah, a lot of that is related to the pet trade. So people, see these crazy big lizards and they think it's super cool to have something like that, but then they quickly realize that this is a very unruly animal. They whip their tails around, they can bite, so a lot of people end up setting them free, which is not the thing to do.
It's so genuinely irresponsible.
So unfortunately, Florida, we have a habitat that allows things like that to be able to survive. So when people set them loose, they end up forming these, reproductive colonies that end up, impacting our native habitats. So FWC actually does have a pet amnesty program. So Florida Fish and Wildlife.
Well, there you go.
They have a program. You can, turn over any exotic pets that you have. There's no questions asked. So even if you have like a tiger or something that you're, keeping in your closet, they will accept it, no questions asked. They do not euthanize the pets.
That's amazing.
So they find a responsible home for it. So it's a guilt-free way to relinquish those unwanted exotic pets that you may have without impacting our natural areas.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so before I let you go, and my buddy, when he moved here, he's like, Florida's like Jumanji. And you know what? I really agree with him on that. So hey, where do we send folks if they want to learn some more information?
So we're actually doing a couple of weed wrangles this Saturday. So if you want to come out and help us, we've got a couple of sites in the Mandarin area, but if you want to see where those sites are located, if you go to floridainvasives.org, they've got a calendar of events there, so people can go and check that out. But we had a few events last weekend. We had over 150 volunteers that came out. Tens of thousands of pounds of invasive plants were removed.
Wow.
So it's a great way to, raise that awareness, celebrate National Invasive Species Awareness Week, and
that's amazing.
Get people
Jessica,
out there.
Thank you so very much for being here today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's not plant any more of these plants, guys. All right, Jordan, what you got?